My name is Erich Barnstedt. I work in the Windows group on the Internet of Things. And this is my colleague Clemens Vasters. He's an architect in the Azure group, working also on Internet of Things.
In the cloud.
Perfect. So if you look at Gartner come out with these hype cycles every year. So last year in 2014, the Internet of Things was at the very top of the hype cycle. It appeared that, slowly in 2015, the kind of graph is going down for the Internet of Things. People are starting to realize what really can be done. And from my perspective, I see 2015 really as the year for the Internet of Things. And this is why hardware is cheap, so you can buy cheap hardware that can be used for building Internet of Things devices. Connectivity is pervasive, Wi-Fi everywhere, mobile phone networks everywhere, so it is no longer a big issue getting connected to the internet. Development is easy. There's a lot of good development tools available from Microsoft and from other people. And also, there are new scenarios that really fuel the demand for Internet of Things devices. If you look at Kickstarter, you see a lot of them available today. Lots of people with great ideas of products that don't exist yet, but they obviously want to get them made and get funding for them. And also the Arduino development movement, lots of Arduino hardware available for very low-cost prices. Certainly, it becomes a lot easier, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to get started. And then even the benefits for large corporations are becoming clearer and clearer. Again, with using maybe off-the-shelf hardware to start your development and then going into production at relatively low cost with industry devices, with consumer devices, and also having the cloud connectivity for these devices becomes reasonably easy. So what is IoT anyway? Well, if you ask me, I'm not sure. It's something to do about connecting embedded devices to the internet, but I certainly know who will build it. Anybody care to make a guess who's going to build the Internet of Things? Well, I think it's going to be you, right? You're the developers that will eventually be exposed to the Internet of Things. You're going to start looking at the development tools, you're going to start looking at the hardware, and you will be the ones who will actually produce the next generation Internet of Things devices. So the good news is Microsoft has a platform for the Internet of Things that can help you get started. And very briefly, I want to talk about some of these. First of all, there's the Windows platform. Windows 10 is just around the corner. We will have a special IoT version of Windows, which is going to be available later this summer. Then, of course, there's a Microsoft Azure platform of IoT connectivity. And Clemens is going to talk a lot more about that later on.
And analytics and everything.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's Visual Studio, right? Yes. Visual Studio is available also in a free edition that can be used for Internet of Things projects.
And one thing that's important
is
you can pick and choose and combine. So we're open, we're basing it all on open standards. So if you want to use a Windows device and you want to use it against AWS, that's all good. If you want to use a device that's running in Linux and you want to run it against the Azure platform, that's all good. So it's not that you have to get the entire stack from us. Mm-hmm. You can get pieces of the stack from us, or you can get an entire stack from us, and then those things will be better together, but we leave the choice with you.
Exactly. So you really have the choice which pieces you want to use. So a little bit about Windows 10. So the big new thing about Windows 10, obviously we have the Insider program. So if you want to test flight Windows today, you can do so by going to insider.windows.com and start downloading Windows 10. And we have many participants at this stage, so this is a very popular program. Then, of course, we have a single product family, and here it is. So it ranges from the HoloLens to Xbox One, all the way down to the small IoT devices over here on the left-hand side. It's one platform, which means there's going to be one SDK that you can use to build apps, and those apps will run on all the devices. They're universal apps, that's what they're called. And again, you can start building universal apps today. And then the final thing is there's going to be a single store that will feed products for all these devices. So you no longer have to work out which store you want to go to. There's going to be one store. Also, we have a developer program which launched last year for the Internet of Things. Initially, we based it on Windows 8.1. It was a smaller version of Windows running on the Intel Galileo board. Recently, we made an announcement that the Raspberry Pi is also going to be part of that program. Obviously, we will upgrade to Windows 10. And there's going to be more news on the new developer program coming out this summer as well. Usually we attend maker fairs all around the world, so if you're going to one of those maker fairs, you'll find representatives there from the team, and you can log on to windowsondevices.com and get registered, and then you'll be the first to know once we have the new Windows 10 based developer program available. And then, of course, I already mentioned that the Raspberry Pi 2 is now also or is available to buy, and very soon we'll also have a Windows 10 version that will run on the Raspberry Pi, which will be available for free for maker use. One last thing about connectivity. So within the home, there are various different connectivity standards. So if you're talking about building a home automation device, Microsoft recently joined the All-Join standard. It's the alliance is called All Seen, and you can download the Windows version of All-Join from the All Seen website. And again, it's platform independent, and you can, if you're building an All-Join device, all the software is available open source on that website. So, over to Clemens.
Yes. And then from the cloud side, or from the systems perspective, I'd say, if you ask me the question of what IoT is, it's not about putting things on the internet. It's about building systems that are putting those things together. And often, those systems will have a large scale. And for me, IoT is when those with the least experience in building very large, secure, high-scale, high-availability multi-node cloud solutions are confronted with having to build them. So let's say you want to build a connected car. You're a car manufacturer, and you want to put all those vehicles onto a single system. How many employees does a car manufacturer have? 300,000, 400,000. The biggest identity system that car manufacturer runs has 400,000, maybe external people, 500,000 identities that are being managed. They're shipping every year 1 million, 2 million, 8 million vehicles. That is a multitude of what they manage in their own systems in terms of identities, and every single one of those cars needs to have an identity. It's a huge challenge in terms of identity management alone. If we want to make connected car real, if we want to make connected factory real, if we want to make smart grid and all those things real, we're dealing with scale that is enormous. If you give me the next slide, please. Thank you. So this is a million, right? 100, 10,000, a million. A million is quite a bit. If you want to create bidirectional connectivity, you need to have 1 million routes to all these different places. You need to have 1 million identities that you need to deal with. You need to deal, if you think about it from a car perspective, and we're using car because everybody can relate to it, you're going to have 2 drivers, 3 drivers in there. You're building for consumer scale. You want to have devices in all of the homes, right? You want to be successful, and so you're dealing with millions of scale. How are you going to do this? Are you going to go and build your own infrastructure? Are you going to put up your own data centers? Are you actually going to do the capital outlay to build all that infrastructure? We don't think you will. So for us, IoT is about the systems that are kind of powering the back of it. If you want to go and connect, if you want to control your home with your smartphone, how are you going to do that? Are you going to open up the firewall in your own house? No. You need to have a bridging system. If you want to do it securely, and if you want to do it in a way that consumers are going to be safe, you'll have to have this cloud brokered, and that cloud broker needs to sit somewhere. Next slide. So we believe that Azure, our cloud platform, is a fabulous foundation for a lot of IoT solutions. We had two very interesting press releases on the Azure IoT blog in the last 2 weeks. Since I was talking about connected car, and in Germany, cars are great. So Scania has announced that the Scania trucks are going to be connected through the Azure cloud. And yesterday, we have announced together with Ford that the Ford Smart Services solution for the Ford vehicles are also going to run on the Azure cloud. And those manufacturers come to us because they have those scale issues, because they need to go and connect millions of devices. So what are we going to do with these? What do we have in terms of capabilities? First of all, we're providing connectivity solutions. We have a large-scale system that we're going to talk about in slide called Event Hubs, which deals with data ingress. And once the data is ingested, we have a lot of storage and analytics capabilities that are in the cloud that allow us to build these systems. We have compute capabilities that range from standard compute, as you know, from websites and background workers, to actor-based models, how you can run millions of programs in parallel on clusters, self-organizing clusters of machines. So we're having all the foundational capabilities in that platform. The goal that we have, though, is not to go up and provide solutions for everything. Right? Our goal is not to go and build the Microsoft home automation cloud and the Microsoft vehicle telematics cloud, because we believe that companies who are building vehicle telematics solutions are really good at that one thing. We're really good at building scale platform that lives underneath those. And like in Hall 16, all those startups which are building these fabulous IoT enablement solutions for all kinds of verticals, what we're building as platform is a foundation for such services to sit on top of. And that's what we're building. Specifically, what my team builds, what I'm the architect for, is we have a capability called Event Hubs. And that is the foundation for something that was also announced this week at the Convergent conference called the Azure Iot Sweet. The Azure Iot Sweet takes the core services that are necessary to build these IoT solutions, message brokering, right, message ingestion, also live real-time stream analytics, our Hadoop services, which means all the stream analytics, including Apache Storm and including MapReduce, etc. Also our storage capabilities and all those things together in one offering, so that they become usable and computable and can be rationalized kind of on a per device basis. Specifically, Event Hubs is something that is having great success these days. Event Hubs is a capability that allows you to take lots of events from very many different sources and ingest them into cloud for further analysis. You can scale up a single Event Hub. That's a single thing you can create in our cloud. You can scale this up to 1 million distinct sources and to over 1 gigabyte per second in ingest. And that's a capability you can buy from us today. We're currently doing across our messaging infrastructure well over, I'm not going to tell you the real number, but we're doing well over 2 billion messages per day in ingestion for a great number of different solutions. And so we have the scale for even the biggest IoT challenges today, and that's why we have a lot of customers who are coming to us. Mm-hmm. What we're also doing is we're engaging with the maker community and with people who are also building on top of things that are not necessarily don't think of as Microsoft. We have Connect the Dots. That's an effort that's built on Node. We have Nitrogen, which is also an effort that's built on Node. which are all integrating with that same reference architecture model that we have. So we have Event Hub, Stream Analytics, all the entire analysis chain on the back, and all those things compose, and they compose with clients from all kinds of different routes. It goes from C to scripting languages to anything that's there, and obviously also for the .NET developer.
Yeah. And all of the source code is available on GitHub, so you can download all of that also for free. So a little bit about Visual Studio, I already mentioned it. There's a community edition of Visual Studio, which is available for free for most use cases, so you can look at the exact definition on the web, but if you're not a large corporation, you can use it for free, pretty much. So again, this is just a normal Visual Studio, or I think it's Ultimate Edition or Professional Edition. All the bits and pieces you need for the Internet of Things are there, and you can just download it and use it. I also talked a little bit about universal apps. So this is Visual Studio right here, and you can start building universal apps today. The SDK is already available, and I also know that for Visual Studio 2015, the CTP6 release, so the Customer Technology Preview, version 6 is now available for download, which also supports the new universal app and Windows 10 SDK. So a topic that we want to spend some time on is security, because for IoT, security is really where things are either going to go badly wrong or you will be okay. So we want to spend some time on that.
Yes.
Do you want to take that?
So that's something that's very close to our hearts. IoT means, for me, it's really what it is a new phase of distributed systems computing.
Right.
That's from a developer perspective, that's really what it is. So far, we've dealt with variations of a computer with a keyboard and for people, right? So we started with a mainframe that you had to walk towards. Then we have invented the terminal, so you didn't have to walk towards that PC. Then we moved the compute towards that keyboard, and with the web, we've moved it back. And then we have now mobile devices which put the keyboard on a little touchscreen. But that's kind of what happened. But it's all closed information systems with human interfaces. What the IoT brings is the next phase, because what we're doing is we're putting printers, peripherals, into open spaces. Now those printers are not printers. They print light, they print movement, they print the world. What we're doing is, with the IoT, we're equipping the world with eyes and ears and with hands. That's what we're doing. It's peripherals attached to distributed systems. What that means is we're affecting people's lives. We can go and kill someone by moving a robot who stands right next to that person. Which means IoT security equals safety. So we can't take that lightly. We can't, the best practices that we're using for IT security today are not even good enough for the IoT. Because we're moving things. As soon as we move things, or as soon as we take sensor information that we draw consequences from that move things, right? You open a dam because of readings from water sensors, right? As soon as we do this, we open up gates for vulnerabilities, and so we need to be more secure than ever than in IT. So that's a huge obligation that we all have when we build for the IoT.
Right.
So, a number of IoT security traps. Trusting the network, right? How much do you trust the network, or do you want to have point-to-point security? You want to have point-to-point security, right? Can you trust the hardware and software? Or is that hackable? Well, you probably want to go and make sure that the things that we are being attacked for, because we're not so open, right? Trusted platform modules, secure boot. Well, they make sure that the device that you have put on the side of a wall, right? That you can be sure that you can go and trust that device digitally. That nobody has taken that device off the wall, patched the software, put some other software in there, and is attacking you from that vector, right? We now know that refrigerators have become spam robots? Well, because you can install malware on those, and if you use the latest practices, you can't. Devices acting as network servers. If you have a little tiny device, right, should that be exposed to the internet? Who of you has a phone in the pocket? All hands raised. Everybody has a phone in the pocket. Which of those phones have a stable public IP address? None. Because that would be very dangerous. And it would also be very stupid from a privacy perspective. So who thinks it's a good idea to make small connected devices have a public stable IP address in the IPv6 space? And then listen to UDP packets. And that being a security camera. All I need to do is I need to go and flood that thing and it's dead. So those devices can't act as servers. They need to be brokered through systems that are actually able to defend them. You need to go and pull it into a place where you can actually go and do the defense. You can't do defense at the edges. You have to do the defense at a gateway. You have to do the defense or in the cloud. But you have to defend a defendable hill. And a small device is not a defendable hill. And who would hack things? Because it's fun. Or because you actually want to go and do harm, because you want to light a building on fire. And all data is secret, or at the very minimal, data that you draw consequences from, data that you use to control an HVAC system, data that you use to control an autonomous car, needs to be genuine and needs to use at least signature capabilities or data machine learning based anomaly detection techniques to make sure that the data is genuine and can be trusted. Security is a huge, huge topic in the IoT, and it's something that you need to take very, very seriously, and everybody needs to take seriously. And when I see, frankly, people connecting Arduinos to the network, and they're saying, look, wonderful solution. Arduino is too small to have a secure stack. Arduino is not an IoT device. Arduino is a nice local device, but if you can't do security, it's not a solution. You have to do security because it's required for all of our lives and all of our privacy.
So a little bit about what can you do, right? So one of the things that when you start on an IoT project is just assume you will be hacked, right? Don't say, oh, this is not going to be worth it. Nobody's going to know about this. People will find out you will be hacked. If you take that first step to just acknowledge the fact you're doing the right thing, then you should also use threat modeling. I mean, threat modeling these days, it's a pretty well understood, let's say, task. You can do something like Stride. There are some tools available for free. Microsoft internally also use Stride, by the way, and this is something that we also publish on MSDN.
Yeah, it's on Microsoft.com/SDL,
Secure Development Lifecycle, exactly, right. That was a good point.
Yes.
So anyway, use Stride, and the trick is to do your threat modeling before you start writing code, right? If you try to do it afterwards because you forgot or you're using an existing system, it's too late, right? A lot of the times when people start connecting devices that were initially designed to not be connected, you have to start over. You have to really start over. You have to look at the system, work out where the threats are, work out where the trust boundaries are, which parts of the system you trust, and don't say, oh, it's that other team that's going to take care of security. It has nothing to do with us, right? Security is everybody's business, right? I mean, when I work with customers, I hear all the time, well, we didn't have time for security. Well, then the project timeline needs to be updated, right? There is always time for security.
You're not done if you don't have security.
That's right. That's right. And, for the people making the decisions, the people with the checkbooks, they need to understand security is not free. Security costs money. You need to invest in security, but that's, in our experience, better to do that than to try to, patch a security hole afterwards, which is a lot more expensive.
Yeah,
right?
what I hear a lot is customers saying, Well, we have this little microcontroller, and it doesn't have enough capabilities to do crypto. Well, then you bought the wrong microcontroller.
Right. Yeah. You buy one that has crypto. Don't say, it's not worth it. So that's that. So finally, if you want to know more about, the things that we do in IoT and the rest of the company, you can come and see us at Halle 4. There's also a presentation on some of the Internet of Things devices that we've built in the past. So do check that out. And then finally, that's the end of our show. We got 3 minutes for questions.